Okay, hey. I couldn't make a video yesterday. I didn't have time, so I'm just gonna try to keep it short this evening and talk about I just wanted to talk about God, there's so many fucking layers to everything. But in a nutshell, it's sometimes why is it so hard for just to live, to just be okay being yourself, why is it hard to live life without wanting an escape, without seeking out an escape? And it's not that I even want that anymore, because I don't, if anything, I wish there was more time in the day. I want to be present as much as possible and just fill my time creating this life I love. But it's just, sometimes it just seems like I'm still kind of fighting this voice or voices inside of my head. And I don't mean that in a literal way. I just mean the me that's full of doubt and uncertainty and being self-confident, or lacking self-confidence rather. And just, everything inside of you that says you're not good enough. And it's this one time, I was at Walmart, which, I fucking hate that place. It's a commercial, capitalist hell. But anyway, I was in the hellscape that is Walmart, and I saw, this guy, and I was like, oh God, a familiar face. I couldn't really place it, which was worse. And he recognized me, and he was like, oh, hey, aren't you Jamie? And I was like, oh, yeah, it's me. Hey. It's how do I know you? And I'm thinking, oh God, it could have been fucking anywhere. I could have fucked you. We could have gotten high together. I could have done something shady with you. You could know me for some really, at the lowest point in my life. It's quite possible, and it was someone that me and a couple other girlfriends used to get high with way back in the day when I was 18. And then every time I see someone at all that I haven't seen, or an acquaintance from years and years ago, it's always God, what do they know? How much have they heard? Now I have these gnarly scars on my face and on my body. Do they know I was a sex worker? Do they know I was a full-blown needle junkie? What do they know? And so there's always, I'm socially fucking awkward anyway. I have extreme social anxiety. I think Walmart is the worst place on the planet. And then there's this small town pressure. I'm kind of oh God, how much do these people know? Or does this person know? And so I was trying to shoot the shit, but also not overshare an odd personal secret. And so I just kept it real casual, oh yeah, how you doing? And he asked me an innocent question, just we only talked for a total of 3 minutes, but he asked me what I was doing, if I was working anywhere. And I wanted to tell him, and still right now it is so hard for me to say that I am a writer, that I need to do something artistic and just have to do something that feels more authentic and more creative, or else I'm going to slowly kill myself one high at a time, because I can't fucking live life. And I found this thing, I should be and I am, I'm so happy to have found writing. But it's still very, very nerve-wracking, to tell people that I'm a writer, because of my insecurities, because of where my head is at, because I'm still working on self-confidence. And so when he said, what are you doing? I could have just said, oh, I'm a writer now, and he probably would have been that's fucking awesome, or oh, that's cool, or what kind of writing? It probably would have been nothing but supportive, from this random acquaintance that I literally can't even remember the name of, and I haven't seen since. If somebody told me they were a writer, I would say, wow, it's amazing. That's awesome. But instead, I was like, well, I'm writing, and I know, it's probably not going to go anywhere, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I just really feel called to do this. And I cured my PTSD. Oh, I don't know if you know, but I was almost killed. So I have this PTSD, and now it's gone because of this writing. And I really feel like it's like a purpose and a passion and something that I'm like destined to do. And I think it's actually pretty good, but, I know it's like a long shot. I went into this like very, very awkward, very uncomfortable scenario. And I feel like I'm explaining it and it sounds awkward. And as awkward as I'm making it sound, it was like a million times worse. And so he was just like, oh, cool. All right, catch you later, And that was the end of that. And I said to myself, I was like, you know what? If and when at some point in life, someone's going to say, oh, are you working anywhere, or what are you up to nowadays, or whatever, I'm just going to fucking say it. I'm just going to say, yeah, I'm a writer now. I actually feel like got some amazing shit, something. I'm going to like stand in this power, but I feel there's still a part of me. And you know what? To wrap it up, that there has been one time where I started up like a conversation, or I don't know how, I think it was like we were both me and this random woman, we were both walking our dogs, and it was kind of like a dog park thing. And we just we're talking about our dogs, and she asked me what I was, if I was working anywhere, and I was like, actually I'm self-employed, I'm a writer. I haven't made any money off of it yet, but that is the plan, and that is the goal. And she was like, oh, that's amazing. So it went a lot better the second time, but I had to like be conscious of making that choice to actually just say who I am and what I want to do and what brings me joy. And the reason I'm besides just like the general social anxiety and awkwardness and just the difficulty I have expressing myself like with verbal communication in any way, shape, or form, including these videos, obviously, aside from that, I do think that there is something where I'm still feel like I'm not kind of worthy enough or good enough, or that little voice that's like, well, who do you really think you are? You're like white trash. You really, it's not that good. Just all of that negative self-talk. I think that is like stronger for some people than others, and that is like something I'm definitely is a big thing for me to overcome. But 4 years into living, for the first time ever, and I'm 38, and I've really only been alive, like for all intents and purposes, for 4 years, in a meaningful way. So the fact that I even have a passion and have a goal, and it's a creative endeavor is pretty amazing. And the fact that I was able to cure my PTSD with writing, and I have seen like these amazing moments of symmetry that have honestly like almost brought me to tears. They've been so beautiful, like symmetry with times and dates, and just several different things. So I know I'm on the right path, but it's really hard for me to consistently like stand in that confidence, and there's still a part of me that almost feels like I'm doing something wrong, like I'm working on it, but for a split second I feel like I'm doing something wrong whenever I speak with confidence, or talk about being like a creative person or artistic or anything like that. And it's like everything I wanted to do, or just even thought that would be neat to do, like I always like I've said in other videos, like was so quick to be my worst critic. I shot myself down like with everything, like, and writing is one of them too. It was like, well, you can't be a writer. I said to myself for years, I was like, well, you don't read fast enough. You're not like learned enough. You haven't read enough books. You aren't good enough. People from West Virginia don't have creative lives. I've like thought all those things. I'm like, well, I'm surely some people from West Virginia do, not me, and that's bullshit, and that I really feel like is part of for me personally, like the big unlearning that I have to do. I know that I just have some quirks, I guess, about my personality that make me, especially I think, susceptible to criticism or to negativity, self-doubt, and self-loathing, just like buying into this bullshit. But that's really, also a big part of it is still like unlearning, because I really feel like with this spiritual awakening, I've like come to see just how much like this fucking system has like a vested interest in keeping the vast majority of like humanity in a position of feeling like powerless and weak and just like worthless, so it's like, well, what are we gonna do? We're either gonna like kill ourselves through addiction, or we're just gonna like feed this machine, and it's like a win-win for them either way, at least in America, because if you feed the machine, then you're working for the man, and if you like rebel, which is really just rebelling for the machine, it's raging for the machine, and become an addict or self-destructive in some other way, then guess what? We have for-profit prisons, and you're still fucking working for the man, except now you're just taking the long way around, and you're getting like fucked extra hard. So good job. It was kind of like, even though I always have had a rock and roll soul, and I love that about myself. I mean, I always will. And growing up, it was like goth was like the term, and I always like loved kind of that style, even though I wasn't goth, but I just like liked rock music and stuff. But even as a teenager, there was like a part of me that was aware, you're not really like anti-authority just because like you wear black or have like an alternative hairstyle, because, or whatever, an alternative look altogether, because it's obvious, like, the marker is the machine. You know what I mean? Like, if you're like to keep, with the band and rock music, if you're raging against the machine, the focal point, the starting point, the center is still the fucking machine. I don't think we should be raging against it. I think we should just be fucking making fun of it, or better yet, disregarding it altogether, and just like doing something else, because the machine just wants to keep us down. And I think that's, like I said, that's part of a reason why I was like so sensitive to criticism, because I was always looking external, and I was always taught to look to these external markers of success and validation, and I never taught, and I didn't know, like, I should just give myself that validation, and nobody's gonna believe in me or really know what's best for me except for me at the end of the day. And even like my mom, who's like an amazing mother, she still, when I tell her I'm writing, she can't. I've been doing this for a couple years, like every single day, and I have some amazing things. I've actually even like, read some things to her, and she said that they gave her chills, and I could tell she was not just saying that. She's not the type of person who would just be like, oh, that was amazing if it sucked. But even though she really is supportive of me being happy and likes what I've shared, she can't help herself. It's just the way she is, just to be like, oh, well, okay, you're writing, that's great, but what are you going to do for money? How are you going to, you don't know anybody in publishing. You don't know anything about that world. And I was like, well, nobody knows till they find out, and I'd rather, at the end of the day, on my deathbed, I would much rather like die knowing like I fucking tried. At least I tried. If I tried and I failed, then that was still a life, worthwhile. The only failure could possibly be not trying at all, so I just have to keep that in mind. And before, like, my mother's criticism would have like, that would have been the end of it, before, actually, I would have known better than to even bring up something creative or artistic. My family's very pragmatic. They all have very they went to college, and like I said, have nice homes and successful careers, and that works for them, and that's great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. If you do have something else, you have to just make your own path and go for it. And that's what I'm really learning. And anybody that's not going to understand that or be happy for it, that's just the way, like, going back to the example with Mom, that's just the way she is. It's not like a flaw of her, but it's not a flaw of me either. You know, so I just have to keep that in mind and be very aware of like this negativity inside of me, you know, that it is conditioning and it is a process of unlearning, and just keep in mind like how far I have come, and keep going in the right direction. And it's like you can't, you know, not succeed. And I, yes, that's a double negative, like on purpose. So anyway, y'all have a good night.